Let's talk about willpower. Willpower and the science behind willpower is very interesting. Most people don't understand it yet. So some experiments were done, and I want to tell you about two of them in this short little video that will explain how willpower works, how willpower is finite. In other words, you can have more or less in a given day, and how it works like a power-up bar in a video game. You have maximum willpower at the start of your day, and then you use your willpower throughout your day, and you go to sleep and then recharge your willpower for a new day. Now, you can strengthen your willpower. You can have more willpower, or you can have less through the choices you make, but you have a finite amount. So that's why working forever during your day is not always a good idea. Okay, experiment number one. And this was the experiment where, let's start with a marshmallow experiment, because this is the foundation of understanding will. So researchers took a group of children, very young children, about 5 years old, into the research lab, and each child had a test to pass. The researcher would put before them a marshmallow, which conceivably all the children wanted, and the researcher told the children, look, if you can sit here and not eat this marshmallow that's right in front of you on the plate for 5 minutes, or excuse me, they didn't tell them how long, but they said for a short time, we'll give you 2 marshmallows when we come back. And they left the room and left the kids staring at the plate with the marshmallow. Well, let me tell you what happened. Some of the kids fidgeted and squirmed and then ate the marshmallow. They couldn't take it. But some of the kids were able to calm themselves and just wait. And after 15 minutes, the researchers come back and they gave them a second marshmallow. Well, that's not where the experiment ended. They tracked the two groups of kids for over 30 years. And they looked at things like who would go on to have different life achievement, different grades, different salary and income levels, and different happiness levels. They tracked all this data for the participants of the study over the course of their lives based on whether or not at age 5 they could sit there and wait to receive the pleasure so that they could get more later, right? They could delay short-term gratification in favor of more later. And how many times in life are we faced with this choice? Do I want a little now or do I want more later? This is a test of willpower. And guess what? As you might imagine, those kids who were able to resist the temptation and who were able to use their willpower to wait for the second marshmallow ended up having higher happiness, higher salary levels, higher SAT scores throughout their entire life because the will was stronger in those kids. Their third chakras were stronger. Amazing, right? Now let's look at another experiment. And this has to do with basically the idea that willpower is finite. So two groups of people, one of them is presented with some cookies that they eat the cookies. The other group gets to smell the cookies but not eat, and instead they're given like some asparagus, something gross, and they have to eat that while still smelling the cookies, right? So they smell the cookies, they want the cookies, but they're resisting. So they're using their will to resist the cookies, whereas the first group just ate them. They didn't use any of the will. And then both groups were tasked with a complex logic puzzle. And guess what happened? The group that just ate the cookies and didn't have to resist the cookies and instead eat the asparagus worked on the puzzle significantly longer than the other group. In other words, the group that didn't have to burn willpower had more willpower to work on the puzzle before giving up, whereas the group that already burned willpower resisting cookies had less will to work on the puzzle. So do you ever have that situation where you're like getting worn down all day from temptations, and at the end of the day you just, I just got to give in and go and eat this food, or I got to go and binge watch Netflix for 13 hours, and it gets way out of control, and then you hate yourself, and then this vicious cycle plays itself again and again. You all know what I'm talking about. We've all been there. Even you. So willpower is finite. Don't waste it on the unnecessary. And willpower is so important and will create a great life for you if you learn to strengthen it. Willpower is a muscle, like any one of these chakras. That's why I'm saying you can strengthen the muscle by making clear, conscious choices, resisting that which is not good for you and going after that which is, and working through challenges will all strengthen the will that you have to create the life that you want.